What is up, everybody? What is up? What is up? This is Malik here. I'm back. I haven't made a video in a long time, you guys, and I definitely wanted to go ahead and start back up and making them while I can. It's good to be back and talking to you guys about everything involved with God, my relationship, my testimony, what I can give to you guys, what we go through, and everything in between and out. All right. So today, like always, I'm going to be talking about a good topic, something that we can relate to or something that we've been interested in. And the topic that I'm going to be talking about today, I kind of call it, well, basically I call it, being a pawn of God versus being a servant of God. That's the topic. And just like any topic, it's going to dive into something real interesting. It's going to be quick and easy to the point, nothing so hard that we can't understand. And we're going to go ahead and get started. So check it. Put it like this, y'all. Basically, being a pawn of God. Well, think about the word pawn. Pawn is basically a person who's being used by other person or different type of people. Someone who's being used. All right. And someone who's a servant is someone who is loyal. Someone who is here to serve someone, make sure they're good, attend to most of the needs or all the needs, and just be the provider, be the caretaker, and all in between, basically. So I use those different terms to basically separate two different ways of living, all right? And two different choices you have of living, if we actually just go ahead and get there to that point. There are many ways and teachings of how we are to approach God and how we are to get in God. There are many ways of going about it. Our churches may teach us the way, our parents, our friends, our family, anything we see or come across will teach us or show us or influence us different ways of living in the God. But I would definitely tell you, if you all could take one understanding from me, just one understanding, and really go with that, I would say get in God exactly how you want to get into Him. All right? That's the best relationship that you could ever possibly have with God. Exactly how you want to get in with Him. There is no specific way to get into God that goes so far beyond your own personality that you have today. All right? That is where you start to become a servant of God. God has made and created every single one of us to be different, but also relate at the same time, to where we have diversity. All right? Diversity is I'm trying to be all deep and stuff. I would say diversity is all in one, but the same, if that makes sense. All right? And I feel like that God is diverse. He created us in diversity. We all are the same, coming from one source, but have different traits and different things about us. Okay? So when you become a servant of God, you are understanding that you have a purpose and you must fulfill it, but you're also understanding that God loves you. He appreciates you for exactly who you are. There's nothing that you can do that's so wrong that God can literally banish you from His book of people that He loved, banish you from His thought, His way of getting things together, blah, blah, blah. Every single person that has been put on this earth has a purpose in their life that's been bestowed upon them by God, because He loves you. He loves you and He cares for you, and He wants you to actually fill that purpose out, so then you can return to the original person who created you, the original being who gave you that purpose, basically. All right? It's very simple and it's cut clean and it's straight to the point. I know a lot of different understandings can get in the way of that, but it's really simple. It's really simple. And when you start living out your life with the personality that you have today, a lot of things get done. A lot of things get done internally. You feel me? You're able to have more of a wholesome life, or more of a wholesome understanding. It doesn't matter what your living conditions are. It doesn't matter what your wallet looks like. It doesn't matter who you're around and what you're around. Despite all of that, nothing is going to be able to penetrate that relationship you have with God. Okay? And once you get into an effect where you're a servant with God, you're able to do many different types of missions that fit you. You're able to really locate and be around certain people that fit you. You're able to be who you are while being a person for God, being a supporter, an individual, someone who promotes what God has given us, and what He's given us is love. Okay? It all fits you, and everything flows exactly how it's supposed to. Now we go into basically being a pawn of God. And I use that term because when I think of pawn, it's such a forceful, it's like someone who's forced to do whatever. And a lot of times they're either misled, misjudged, mistaught, miseducated, whatever they are, to do bidding. And the one thing I would say is God doesn't have any pawns. All right, He doesn't have any pawns, but people make themselves pawns anyway. They make themselves as if they're forced to have a relationship with God. That if they don't do this, they're going directly to hell. If your reason in relationship for loving God and doing your purpose is because you don't want to go to hell, then it's not authentic. It's not effective. It's not really helping you in the long run because you're living your life with fear instead in your heart, but also in your mind. Everything that comes up to your mind about God, you immediately get that thought to, I better do this or I'm going to go straight to hell. All right? It stops your growth internally. And you can never really understand what it's like to be authentic with Him. You feel what I'm saying? So that's what when I hear that word, or I think of that word of pawn, it seems like something that has been forced. You're forced to be this. All right, so you are someone's slave. You're a slave. You feel what I'm saying? And God doesn't have slaves either. So that's why I'm saying this, because me, as someone who says that he's a servant of God, I definitely would love, anybody who I encounter that wants to actually get into an effective relationship with God or want to talk to me about anything, I really push, well, not even push, but I really promote for you to encounter God in many different ways. I don't go so far off the end that doesn't really relate to your own personality. You're able to tell different people's personality and how they live and how they go by. And exactly how you are is how God wants you to be when you get into Him. If you feel like you have something that's so off and so wrong, don't worry about that. When you get into your purpose, God will help you fix that. If it's such a big issue that you can't bear to deal with that for the rest of your life, don't worry about that. When you get into God, He'll help you get right. You feel what I'm saying? So it ain't nothing that God can't handle, and it ain't nothing that you can overcome. All right? So that's when you get into being a servant. And being a servant is someone who protects the people. When you're serving God, you're serving the people. And if anything goes against that, then it is not true. All right? It is not true. It is false. It is false, and it does not help you grow. It does not help you become a better person. If anything tells you to isolate yourself away from the population, the people, then it's not true. All right? And for me, my favorite thing is to say that you are drawn to the people that are exactly meant for you. All right? So just because you're drawn to the population doesn't mean that you're drawn to every single person in this world. Everyone is not meant for you. We all know those quotes and all that type of stuff. We all been through those situations. But more so, everyone isn't meant for you. But you're going to be drawn, as a servant, you're going to be drawn, you're going to be located to people who fit you exactly in many different areas. Possibly areas you didn't even know that you had, or that you really lived by. All right? However, someone who has a pawn, I like that fact that I separated that. But someone who has that type of mindset, it's real bland. It's real bland. Any person that you come across, you're not really helping them. You're just saying things that you may have quoted out the Bible or something you heard from your pastor. A lot of times when you become an individual who serves a purpose under fear, nothing that you do is going to be effective or authentic. You haven't even got to the arts of being authentic with people, because you're still on that terrible level of being real fearful of God. So everyone that you come across, everyone that you encounter, you immediately display or show or contribute judgment to their heart. All right? That's what you give them. You let them know that what you're doing is wrong. You better get that right, or something gonna happen. And you got till Wednesday, or you gonna this and that and 5 p.m. and do it now. That's not God. All right? That is not God. God gives us all the time in the world, while also letting us know we have this certain amount of time. We have so much time in the world to get our lives together. We have so much time. And if you actually are able to demonstrate that open relationship with God to many people will have a better and effective relationship with God. Many people will learn to love Him and really put Him in everything that they encounter and do in life, the good and the bad. And it comes to the point where many people won't feel so convicted about the wrong, because they accept who they are. And they know that might sound off, but I'm going to say this. When you get to a certain point in your life, like I can say how I have, I'm honest with myself. So when I do wrong, I don't go through that whole dramatic phase. I don't go through that whole phase when I'm crying on the floor and I end up in at somebody's altar, rolling and whatnot. I'm honest. I know I did wrong, and God knows it too. And I immediately go to Him and let Him know what's up. If I feel convicted, like fully convicted, then yeah, that's gonna go over me. But I'm not gonna feel convicted where I walk outside dragging my feet, tired, sad, stressed. No, that's not. Take that type of way of living out of your mind. Take that programming out of your mind, because every situation you get in ain't got to be depressing. All right, every time something go down, handle it accordingly. You ain't got to fight, and you ain't got to not say nothing, but handle it accordingly. Okay, life can be very easy for a lot of us if we make it. Okay, so yeah, definitely just think about that. Those all comes with effective way of being a servant of God, and it goes deeper. I can go into parts where where really talking about your pursuit of really going and having a love and a passion for people, and you see more of the person within than the person that's on the outside, and all of that stuff. It's just so much that comes with it. But I can honestly say that if I talk about that, then many of you guys won't really talk to God and ask Him, what is your purpose? And that's what I really would encourage a lot of you to do. Talk to God and really get in a meeting spot with Him or whatever you want to do, and ask Him, what is your purpose specifically? Because a lot of you guys' purposes is much different from mine. A lot of you guys' purposes relates to mine, but we all have different ways of serving God, different ways of doing things. All right, so that's more so in the realm of being a servant of God. In the realm of being a pawn of God, I'm gonna honestly say it's no different from being someone who's religious, if you get what I'm saying. Of course, anybody who's not Christian or anybody who doesn't believe thinks that the whole Christian belief is religious. But as far as what religion means and how it's put today, God isn't religious. All right, God isn't religious. Christianity isn't religious. In the world, it may be religious, but what God has said when He brought Jesus onto the earth, it's not religious. It's love. Okay, that is the purpose of Christianity, to separate that whole idea and what it means to be religious and all that type of stuff. It's love. So when you become someone who, I guess, like I said, is a pawn of God, you live a religious life. Nothing you do is really authentic. If you feel it may be right, you think it may be right because you're speaking and saying the word of God, and that's always going to give you wholesome feelings. But in order to really help people, you have to understand people. And a servant understands the purpose that they're serving. Anytime they know exactly what they want on their plate, how they want their bed made, how they want their bathroom kept. Most of the time they have a good, authentic relationship with them because they're living in the same house with them. As far as the pawn and the person who is using the pawn, they have no effective relationship. It's always a yes sir or yes ma'am, or do this and do that. It ain't never what they want. All right, and at the end, you're promised this great reward that seems so false and so far away, but you feel like you're gonna get it. All right, that's not a way to live, and that's not a way to think. I would definitely say, I would encourage you guys to get your mind in a condition and in a way where everything that you do, everything that you think of, and everything that you see in life revolves around love. It revolves around love that gets you in a place where everything you do goes towards God. It goes towards God. You do something wrong, you don't even feel so affected by it that you feel like that's going to throw your purpose off. I think that's what I was trying to say earlier. It kind of just, sometimes when you say certain things, you hear yourself and you be like, wait a minute. But yeah, that's really what it is. You can't do something so bad that God ignores everything good in your life. All right, it doesn't work like that. And if anything has demonstrated that to you, then it's a lie. Okay? There is bad, what's good is good and what's bad is bad. That's why there's a such thing as repenting, rebuking things, asking God for forgiveness, and then moving on. All right? Don't live in sin. That's not me promoting anybody to live in sin, but that's letting you know that don't hold burdens to your heart. Don't feel so bad and and don't create abuse. Don't become an abusive. Don't become an abusive person because you feel like you're hit, you're sad, you're bad, all that type of stuff. But more so, I wanted to really talk on that and separate the difference internally, what it means to be a servant and a pawn of God. It's a higher and a better understanding to help the condition of the mind and more so the condition of the heart, or better the spirit, because this is more important and this is what keeps this functioning. All right, and with this is where you're able to speak and make any action that you want to make. All right, so that's what I wanted to say. I know you guys enjoyed this video. My email is going to be below. My Instagram is going to be below if you guys want to contact me. I don't have Twitter no more, and I don't use Facebook a lot. The only time I get on it is when I'm on a computer somewhere, but I barely do. So just contact me through my email and through Instagram, and we can take it from there. All right. This is Malik Giles, or better yet, the 7i, and I'm signing out. Adios.